talk about things that happen, whether we like them
Or not.
and I feel like that is going to happen at some point. We're going to talk about something hard. But today we are going to be talking about something very special. Let me ask you, are you a complainer? I would like to submit that maybe my friend could be. How do you feel about that?
I don't think I complain about much.
Well, denial is the first time. But anyway, today we're going to talk about an article that I actually read on 15 signs that you may be a complainer. And I think this is necessary because sometimes I think we are going to spend way too much time, complaining than actually living in the moment and doing something about it. Now, there is no judgment. I do not judge her at all. But it's more just well, I don't. I mean, I do, but then I don't, and I'm over it. But anyway, I'm hoping that after this we can do some self-reflection. When I say we, I mean everyone, but especially her. Do some do some self-reflection, and then we're going to also have some suggestions at the end. I would like to state right now, we are not doctors, and you may need one. We're not it. So today's just more of a lighthearted fun sort of situation that we're going to be talking about today. So are you ready, Whitley?
I'm not so sure now, but let's get on with it.
She's in the hot seat. She's in the hot seat. Okay, well, let me get over to our thing. So before we begin, you know that we always have to start with a special question. So let me spin the wheel. Let's see. Powers. It's the star.
Powers.
You know what? Is there a complaint I heard? We're going to cover that and see if that is in the complaints. Whitley, what is my question that I'm not complaining about receiving?
To be able to talk to any animal or to be able to change into an animal.
Okay, so would I rather be able to talk to any animal or change into any animal?
Uh-huh.
I would rather be able to talk to any animal.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm going to say this is because I have a new dog, Bob. Yeah. Bob has found Whitley quite delicious. And I would love to, instead of using words that Bob doesn't understand, I would love to know if Bob does understand. Is he stupid? I don't know. But we're going to work on it. And I apologize for any dog lovers out there who has a challenged dog, such as myself. No, actually, he's cute as a button, but he is hard. We're having a potty training moment, and it's a little hard. So that's what I choose. Okay, so this time you spin the wheel, Whitley, and I will ask you the question. All right. You get to pick.
Oh.
Look, Whitley gets to pick. Will she complain? How about picking? Do tell me, Whitley. What are we feeling?
We're feeling, well, we're going to go powers.
You're going to go.
I'm going to go powers.
I'm actually going to lower my seat so Whitley doesn't feel like I'm doing a power play. I want her to feel equal in this conversation. Hold on. You wanted powers too?
Huh?
Interesting. She wanted powers too. Okay. So, would you rather be able to rewind your life or have a cheat code that lets you skip parts of your life? Now, I think I know the answer to this, but let's see. Would you rather be able to rewind your life or have a skip code that allows you to, or a cheat code that allows you to skip certain parts of your life?
Oh, maybe cheat.
I knew she's going to say that. That's how well I know her. Yes. Can you explain? Would you like to explain without going into therapy why?
I don't think I can explain without going into therapy.
Okay. Well, we're gonna skip on. We're gonna just skip on.
Yeah, we're gonna skip on this part.
All right. So before we begin, I don't know if any of you have at all turned on Netflix's Love Meghan Markle, her new show. And let me just say right now, wow. I had actually not seen her show really. I knew she had done some stuff with Netflix, but I had seen some reviews. I was listening to Megyn Kelly and she ripped her a new one. And I was like, I got to see. Because in all fairness, I don't want to just go along with the crowd and just agree. So I made Whitley and myself sit down to watch a Meghan Markle episode, Love with Meghan. So what was your take on Meghan really quickly when you saw episode 1?
That she wasn't authentic,
Right.
And I was questioning whether this person was her friend or not.
Yes. Okay, so here's what I think it should have been because I do watch shows like this. I love it. I'm
Mhm.
all about hospitality. If I can make my friends feel like they're in a hotel without
Mhm.
actually putting them in a hotel, I want to. I want them to have the best of times. So in this first episode, she was making a carrying tray for a man. A carrying tray for a man. Now, in this carrying tray for a man, she made her own bath salts. And she added extra Himalayan pink salt just to spice it up, which was quite an interesting take. And she layered it. Like,
Yes.
what if this man were to take a bath with this much salt, he'd be preserved. I mean, can you die of it? I mean, or he'd be floating.
Dehydrate.
It could be like the Dead Sea. He gets in the bath and he can't sink. He's just on top because there was so much salt. Okay, then she decided to now, and she was, another thing was she was at a location that didn't even belong to her. So that was
She was
interesting.
on set.
Yeah, why? I mean, just be where you're going to be. And we'll get to the bees in a minute because that was something. But anyway, so she puts cut flowers in this tray for a man. Now, I'm married. Are you married?
Mhm.
What would your husband say if you put a fresh cutting of daisies on a tray for him?
Oh, he would love
Okay, there's a lot of questions.
it.
My husband would not. But she didn't just put a cluster. She put several clusters, several bottles, because that was more the filler of the tray. Now, for my husband, we'd want waters because it's for your guest, right?
Mhm.
So her thing was bath salts, a bunch of flowers, and what else she put in? She put in some candy of sorts, and then she put in like some pretzels that were generic, or I don't know what they were, but it was weird. And she didn't use gloves to put them in. And I'm a big fan of like cleanliness is next to godliness as far as like when you're handling people's food. So that was a little off for me. But anyway, when she was interacting with her, I'm going to say friend, as it were, it was a very odd exchange. And I don't know how you talk with your friends, but I don't think we could be friends it would be like we were just meeting as friends. So it's an interesting thing. If you ever care to go take a look at it, take a look at it. Tell me if I'm wrong. But there's just a whole lot wrong with it. And I would definitely say Megan Kelly did a great job. Brett Cooper also I thought it was a wonderful take on her show. And I completely agree with both. So there you go. Now, speaking of the fact that I was complaining, we're going to get into our complaining, how to be aware. So,
Yes.
Lily, I want you to look and face the camera. I'm
Okay.
going to look and face my questions, which you cannot see. And let's see how she does. And, today, Whitley may be turning over a new leaf. Although I will tell you, I would not necessarily put you in the category of complaining, but we'll see. All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So here I go. Here I go. Okay, so we're going to talk about sad phrases people that complain use. Actually, yeah, and this one is it's an article that was written for Parade. It's by Morgan McMurray. Now, I don't know if Morgan's a boy or girl, it doesn't really matter, but that was very insightful, and so that's why I thought I'd share. Okay, so here we go. Sad phrases, 16 phrases unhappy people often use without realizing it. Are you ready? Okay. Nothing ever works out for me. Have you said it? It's okay if you haven't. I don't know that she's ever said it, but I can tell you this is something I've heard. And what do you think about that phrase? When I say nothing, if I were to call and tell you, nothing ever works out for me.
I would think that you were very frustrated about something that was happening right now.
Yes. And in a way, and I apologize for diminishing this particular one, but when I hear that, it just feels like it's a temper tantrum type of a statement. Nothing ever works out for me because I think we can get hit by things one after another in life. It happens. And it's really easy to go down that road. And it's actually a false statement. There are some things that work out. But at the time, I think you're kind of really focused on that moment. And it does feel like nothing ever works out for you. But when you say these things, it just kind of makes it just a reality that you're going to have to deal with now because you're saying it,
You're focusing on all the negativity that's going on
Yeah.
in that moment and what is happening, what went wrong. It's usually better when everything falls apart and you have that initial thought to go, well, what did I learn from this? Or what good did come out of it? Did I meet someone new? Did I learn a new skill? Because a lot
Yeah.
of times those things are things that are going to help you down the road. But we normally don't focus on the good part of
Yeah.
things when something falls apart.
No. Um, they talk about it reinforces a cycle of pessimism. That thing. How could I? It's like we're kiss your fire thought. I can't talk today. And hopelessness. So when you say things like nothing works out for me, you have contributed to this thought of it's everything's hopeless, and it isn't hopeless. My middle name is Hope. I think my parents felt hopeless when they met me, but no, I'm kidding. I'm a big hope believer. So when I hear that, and I have heard this, I mean,
Yes.
I've had several conversations where this particular phrase has come up. It's not hopeless. And I know it feels like that. And, I also want to say, when you go through something hard, per se, it is completely understandable that you're going to hit rock bottom. I've done it, but it's more like, how can we get back up? Now, we're not doctors or therapists or anything like that. I want to say, we're just going to kind of cover it to do a self check.
Life.
All right, well, let's see if your life is lived this phrase. Here we go. No one ever listens to me. What mom has ever said that one? Okay? Especially when you're dealing with kids. No one ever listens to me. Now, if you're one of those people that has incredible insightfulness, that is more knowledgeable than most of the people in your family, I'm not ashamed. No, that is something now, that one I know I have been frustrated by sometimes because it does feel like I've told you this 1,000 times. Like, because you might be one of those people that just saw the problem coming from a mile away and it happened and you're so sad that it did. You're so disappointed because you didn't want it to, and it could have been avoided, but why? No one ever listens to me. Yeah. Have you ever had a moment where no one ever listened to you?
I have had what I call my Cassandra moments.
Ah.
So I don't quite use that phrase.
Okay.
What I use is I'm feeling like Cassandra from mythology.
Okay.
Which, if people don't know, she was one of the, I think, Oracle. And someone would come to her and she would tell them their future, what was going, and no one ever believed her.
Wow.
And so they would go off and the disaster would happen, or she would try to avert people from having a disaster. And while she was always right,
Okay.
no one ever listened to her. But my phrase is, I sure feel like Cassandra.
Okay. Well, that is understandable.
It's the same thing. I mean, I saw it coming a mile down the road.
Yeah.
I warned you about this and you ignored me.
I feel like it's kind of a mom's badge of honor or a good friend because you can't, if you're one of those people that just sees it, there are some things that they're just very plain as day to me. Don't kill the messenger. The next one. Are you ready?
No.
I don't care. I don't care. How about that one?
Okay.
Have you used
Oh,
that?
I don't care.
Yes.
Oh, that's the
That
phrase. I thought you were telling me.
Well, I am at this point. Yes, I am. No, but I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. It didn't affect me any. I don't care. Now, when someone tells you I don't care, that is, would you believe them?
It all kind of depends on whether they're autistic or not.
Okay, but let's say they're not.
They're not autistic, and they
Would
said,
you
I
believe
don't
them?
care. Then I might think that they're
Okay,
psychopath.
that is a jump. I'm going to say if someone says,
If someone says, I don't care,
Yeah.
I would question it.
okay, that's really great. She watches a lot of true crime and behavioral sciences as well, so I can see where you're going. But in this term, we're just talking about the layman who's potentially not a psychopath or autistic who says, I don't care. I think it's going to come with how they said it because some people,
Yes.
I could truly tell you on some things, I really don't care. But then there's other times that like depending on how it was said and then what the subject was, they totally cared.
They're trying to hide their true feelings about this.
That's right. And Dr. Dixon, who's a part of this article, says this sentiment can shield them from disappointment, but it also leads to apathy. And I really don't want to define that. It's a big word, 5 letters, and I can't. All right. Here's one. Are you ready?
Okay.
This is a good one. Why does this always happen to me? Have you heard this? You've said it. Come on. Say it. Say it out.
I'm going to say I don't remember saying it, but I'm going to
Uh-huh.
qualify that one too. I have noticed sometimes that the same thing keeps happening to me over and over. But when I see that,
Mm-hmm.
instead of that phrase, I normally think, why? Why does this seem to be happening over and over? Is it the other person? Or if it happens like at least 3 times, then I
Uh-huh.
start going, what am I doing wrong?
Okay. First of all, that's way too helpful. You're doing too well. You're supposed to stay in the complaint situation. Let me blame you.
Oh,
Okay. So Dr. Ramsey says that it often arises when someone feels singled out by misfortune. Okay.
Mm.
So you should, and you actually did the right thing. You should shift to a phrase of, what can I learn from this? Now, it's really easy to be told this than actually doing it. But I do think
Yeah.
a lot of times it's a mind over matter. Now, if you're going to move into the place of, I'm just going to kind of reside there, I get it, but it's really hard to get out of it. So if it keeps happening, what can I learn from this? So let's move it on, moving on. Okay, I've heard this. Hey, are you ready?
Okay.
What's the point?
I have probably very much said that one.
Now, the thing is, we're going to have said some of these, and that's what this is about. This
What's
is
the point?
Yeah, it's supposed to be lighthearted. It's supposed to be self-reflective, and definitely do not take this as me like looking at you, or because I couldn't really look at you at this point. But
You're looking,
point.
you're looking at us.
Right.
All our glory.
But this is not me in judgment.
Mhm.
I just know like we're all guilty of saying it, and the whole point of this is to try to recognize it and then maybe make a change if you potentially can. That's the whole point. That would be the point. But yeah. This Dr. Dixon says this phrase is a signal of apathy
Mm-hmm.
and futility.
Futility.
No,
No, no.
futility. Do you see what's going on here today, people? Oh, okay, moving on.
I'm usually the one that's stumbling.
Oh, no, I'm guilty.
Pronunciation.
I know. It's past. It's a virus. Okay, so this next one is number 6. I'm so tired of this. Now, 100,000%. I've said that one. Have you said that?
Oh
one?
yeah, yeah. I'm so tired of this.
Mm.
Yeah.
So Dr. Slavens says when you say that, it keeps you stuck in a discomfort when you say this. I'm so tired of this. And for me, it's a declarative statement.
Yeah.
It really depends on what you're like. For me, if I say that statement out loud, I actually do have a plan of how not to be tired of it. So if I'm like tired of a way a relationship is going or something like that, it's not that I would necessarily say that to that person, but I am so tired of this. I don't want to keep doing this anymore. It's not good. So then I'm going to be looking at how can I change what I'm doing so that I'm not going down the same path. So I think for me, when I do complain, I'm not perfect, by the way, completely guilty. I'm also looking at how to fix it because I don't want to stay there because truly I think this is mind over matter. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times, uh, it's also learning.
Mm-hmm.
That beeping just.
That is our lunch and dinner and,
Oh,
and
okay.
breakfast. Yeah, never
Oh.
mind. Crock potting for lunch. Okay, so this one I've heard, and I hear it definitely from younger people, and sometimes from older as well.
Mhm.
I'll never be good enough. Have you heard that?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And this
Yes.
comes from comparing.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you are someone who doesn't deal with rejection well, whether it come from you didn't get the part at school, you didn't get the thing that you wanted, you didn't get the promotion or whatever, you start comparing yourself to other people and you say to yourself, I will never be good enough. Now, I do think how we talk to ourselves, we need to think about that. Now, I'm guilty of it. I mean, I've kept myself definitely pegged down with thoughts like this. And none of that is actually true. You can be good enough. But the thing that you're maybe aiming your boat for right now might not be where you need to be. There's a lot of factors into why something didn't turn out right. But it's interesting that and I'd say this we as a collective whole, that there's this expectation that we deserve for everything that we aim our boat at, that we're going to get there. No problems. It's going to be fine. And I think that's kind of
Arrogant. Oh, okay. Okay.
I think it's arrogant if you live because you can't deal with a loss because
Mhm.
you have this idea that you deserve only good things. Now I wish, and as a matter of fact, on birthday wishes, I wish that for people. I do want them to have only good things, but I also know that when we get some of these bad things, they can actually be for our good, even though it doesn't feel like it is. Because some things that we're aiming for really may not be for our good. And thank God we don't get them. Would you not agree?
I agree.
You should have. No, I'm kidding. I won't do this one. All right, here's another one.
Okay.
I'm just unlucky. I'm just
Just-
unlucky.
No, that I don't think
I don't think I've said it, but this is just a phrase
Just
for
unlucky.
reflection.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's one. Why bother?
I've probably said that.
Okay, well then, if you've said that, Miss Whitley, you are basically eliminating the need for self-improvement. Again, you don't think how bad words, even to yourself. I mean, that's why they say the tongue is the sword.
Mhm.
Because you're cutting yourself down. When you're like, why bother? Why try? Why do any of this stuff? Because if you don't, how are we going to get past some of this stuff? You're just kind of waiting for a miracle to happen. And hopefully a miracle does happen. But if not, what could I be doing to better the situation? And I think, I can get though, you might get to the place of just why bother? I'm done.
You just so frustrated
Mhm.
that whatever is not working out. The deal is it's okay to reach that point of frustration and say why bother.
Mhm.
What is wrong is to wallow in it and
Yeah.
not try to find a solution. It's to realize that we don't need to go forward with something. We're trying to push it and we're trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
And it's not meant to happen.
I was even going to say, and off that is, even if you can't find the solution,
Uh-huh.
being open to a
Yes.
solution. A lot of times
Yes.
when I'm talking to people that are in that place, they're just really frustrated.
Mhm.
They are not open to
Oh,
any
yeah.
change. They do not want to hear it. They just want to vent.
Mhm.
And I have to decide at that point, it's pointless at
Yeah.
this point, to give them any thoughts because that's not really what they
Right.
came here for. They just
Mhm.
wanted to say, I hate what happened.
Mhm.
And I need someone to acknowledge that happened was bad.
Right.
I do think, that's kind of the first step to kind of getting through it. I know for me, I like to say this was awful. But then if you talk to them 3 or 4 times later and they're still
Still.
there
Mhm.
and nothing you say, like they just shoot down every single thing. You could say, what if you did? No, can't work. Won't happen.
Mhm.
It's so hard. Okay. So the next one I love. Now I've heard a lot of kids say this. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair what happened.
and
Well, Dr. Ramsey's going to say it's a natural reaction, but it is not a productive one. And again, 100%. Yes. And I've said this too. There's certain things that have happened. I'm like, man, that is just not fair. But I have to kind of find a way to let all that go and focus on at some point, God's going to deliver for me, even in a not fair moment. So that's kind of how I take it.
Right.
So let us continue. Ooh, I'll never get a chance. Do you agree with that?
Agree with it, or do
Yeah.
I?
Have you said it? Do you
How
wanna
have I
admit it?
said it? Okay.
Yeah.
Say it again because
I'll never get a chance.
I'll never get a
Mhm.
chance. Probably. I mean, that's something that
Okay.
that sounds reasonable.
Well, it's not. It's not.
It's not reasonable.
It is an unhappy feeling of inadequacy. Thank you. Thank you. And frustration. So yeah, when you
I've been frustrated, so
I can vouch for this frustration she's been to. Okay. Ooh. Now I haven't heard this one, but if you've said it, this is a chance that you might be unhappy.
Mhm.
I'm not meant to be happy. How sad is that one?
Yeah, that one's really
Yeah.
sad.
And Dr. Slavin says it creates a barrier between people and joy, as if happiness is something that you have to earn. And that is not true.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it. Sometimes
Happiness is internal.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
you can be happy when things are going terribly wrong.
you can't. But I was going to say sometimes it's a choice. You have to put your mind, at least try to put your mind towards wanting to find and see the joy and not getting stuck in that place. Okay. It's too late for me.
Oh, I don't know that I have ever said that.
Yeah.
but I hear that a lot from, older people.
Yes.
That one you hear from. But also, I have to say this, I've heard it from some younger people
Mhm.
because something will happen to them
Mhm.
during their life. They've got things planned out. A monkey wrench comes in, and when that happens, they feel like they're even in their 20s and 30s. They feel
Mhm.
like they're too old and they missed the boat, and it's just not going
Right.
to happen to them. Well, guess what? I mean, there are some people in their 50s and 60s who finally get their college degree or
Mhm.
finally or retire and start working towards that dream job. It's really, really sad when you hear that from a
Mhm.
younger person because there's really no age limit
No.
to doing things.
No, and I like that.
There may be physical restrictions to doing things.
Well, you just got to think of a way around it.
But yeah, exactly.
I think I honestly I like Wayne Gretzky on this one.
Mhm.
You miss what was it like? Something like you miss all the shots you never took.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought Gretzky was completely right.
Mhm.
You're 100% assured you will never get any of the shots you never made.
Right.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so next one. Let me see if you've said it. I always mess everything up. I don't think you've said
I've
that.
never, no.
Now, I will tell you, if you're an unhappy person, this will be something that you might say to yourself,
Mhm.
especially when you're frustrated. And it's kind of like a cycle of self sabotage. When something happens,
Mhm.
you're the first one to say, "It's all my fault. I always mess
Mhm.
everything up," and that
Mhm.
actually might not be true.
Yeah.
So think on that. If you're someone that kind of says that to yourself, then this definitely is a self reflecting time to not be saying this to yourself, and potentially getting to talk to someone about it for sure.
Right.
All right. I never get a break.
Okay, that's a
Kind of
mom thing.
redundant. Yeah.
I was going to say, I absolutely think that is a phrase said by every mom out there, especially moms who stay home.
Yeah. Well, now I can see why you would go there. I think in this aspect, though, that's not what they mean.
Yeah.
This is
yeah.
more
and I
like
was going to say,
in a job.
when you're like a military spouse and everything's deployed and you're by yourself and you
Right.
really don't get a
Well,
break.
that is the proverbial break, but that's
That's
not what.
yeah.
That's not what this is.
Oh, okay.
This is an
okay.
opportunity. I never get the opportunity.
Oh,
That's
kind of break,
right.
like breaking in.
Yes.
Oh,
So this is
okay.
this is a person that just they're missing those opportunities, and so and I understand how that feels. I
Yeah.
was very much wanting to go after an acting career, and at the time, my husband was stationed to go to Virginia. We were living in Texas at the time.
Mhm.
I had an amazing coach that I love so much. I left a lot of good friends, and they were pursuing the acting career. They were able to get into films. And here I am moving to Virginia with my 4 children and away from all my friends and family. So, of course, this particular statement, when I was doing my feel sorry for me moment, which did last the entire trip here, not here, but to Virginia, yes. That's what I did think is I am not getting a break in it. And it's unfair. I said all these things. Like I had a whole litany of things I was telling God, he didn't follow my map. If he'd followed my map, I would be successful and kind and doing everything I loved, but that wasn't the plan he had in mind. And so, as a matter of fact, that's kind of what started me on my journey of photography because there was no way I could find that I could do acting in the scenario that I was in. So I didn't catch a break in that way, but I got a break in a different way.
But you did do a stage play.
But that was a whole different thing. That was
Oh, okay.
after I had a community. It's
okay.
very difficult to do anything when you're
Right.
when you're in a military situation and
Exactly.
they can be gone or whatever. So this is something that our little chat GPT came up with to add to this. Do you find you get defensive when someone points out that you're complaining?
Well, I will tell you, I got a little defensive there whenever you told me I was a complainer. So,
See, well, here's the thing is I think a lot of times when you're venting on people, and I do it too. If this is something you're kind of feeling like, wow, this is me. This is all of us in a way, if you
Yeah.
will. But I don't think you realize to the level you're doing it until someone's like, man, you kind of keep doing this a lot. And of course you're offended, like, why aren't you letting me vent on you?
Mhm.
And not everyone can take all that. And that's something I think we gotta realize is sometimes if you're in this place of where you're just kind of living in the land of complaining, you really might want to consider doing some self-reflection.
Mhm.
And some things you cannot fix yourself. I definitely recommend counseling for sure. I've had to do it because when you're going through big changes, they're really hard. And you can talk to friends, but sometimes, I mean, these friends haven't even experienced anything like that. When I lived in Oklahoma, I had people who'd never, they couldn't imagine what being in the military was like. They didn't know what someone deployed was like because the community I was in, no one ever left town. I mean, they left town, but you know what I'm saying? They all grew up and stayed there. So they really could not identify with how
Mhm.
hard it was. When I got back from Virginia, I moved to a place that, I didn't think I was going to really enjoy. And so sometimes those mental hurdles you cannot do on your own. And I remember when he was getting deployed, I laid on the couch and wanted to sleep until he got back because I did not want to do this. I literally, I had no friends. I met people at a garage sale and they seemed nice. I'm like, can I go to church with you? I mean, do you mind if I sit behind you? And they were nice enough to say yes. I'm probably worried as I sat behind them, but I was so lonely and so sad. And I just didn't want to do this anymore. And when I say that, I don't mean ending anything. I'm just saying I was out
Of having to face all the things
because he's having to deploy. He can't help me. My parents are not anywhere
too far
near.
away.
And I don't have friends that can relate.
Well, you haven't
No.
been anywhere long enough to really make friends or
Thank
meet
you.
anybody.
Thank you, Whitley, for that clarification. So I did go get some counseling, and that really helped me kind of figure out what I was doing. So some of my things were self-sabotaging myself with some things I was saying, and it was very enlightening. So I felt I can make a difference. I can change what's happening here because I now have some good things that I need to like think about before I start making declarative statements about my life. So if you find this is you, you might want to pray about that. You might want to think about that because, yes, those may be true for this moment now, but they're not always true. Would you agree?
Right,
Okay.
right. I mean, a lot of these statements, if they're said in frustration in the moment, they're kind of very normal. It's just a normal emotion to feel that when you're extremely frustrated. The secret is to not live in that, to not dwell on it, and
Mhm.
to use that frustration in order to find a solution around it.
I sometimes think the problem can actually be a building block to the next thing you need to climb. Because if you think about it, when we all
Yeah.
started, some of us, not all of us, started off on a very pretty much even ground. Others of us started off with huge obstacles. And I think as we learn to hurdle those things, they become a step that we have now as a foundation. Now, it doesn't mean it was fun. It doesn't mean, boy, I want to go back. I think we all could say we wish we had the power to have a cheat code to skip parts.
Yes.
But each thing that you go through becomes such a big part of your story and creates who you are. At the time you're done, you're a battle worn person, but you know an awful lot, even if no one ever listens to you. Okay. So before we get done, I do think gratitude based thinking would be nice. So
Yes.
instead of just focusing on what isn't, I love the song "Count Your Many Blessings, Name Them One by One," because I do think we can forget what God's done for us. I do think we can forget
Yes.
the things that happen. We
Mhm.
take them for granted because the bad things are so big and so present that we just ignore the good things. And sometimes I think if you kind of reflect on, hey, this does stink, but there have been some good things that have happened, even in those hard moments. It'd be good. But then also, if that doesn't work, which I mean, who knows where you're coming from on this when you're reaching this? This is kind of more for the layman, but you could have someone who's gone through something that's pretty traumatic. Then in that case, that's where you're really going to want to look at maybe talking to somebody and getting some help so you can be guided through it so you don't have to stay in this place. I think
Right.
the place of complaining is like hell in a way. Who wants to be with all those thoughts
I
in their
don't
head?
know. There are some people who just really want seem
Mhm.
to enjoy the complaining, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I wonder if anyone has ever said to them or they've ever seen an example of someone who has overcome and is facing that.
Yeah.
Because it is something that can be learned.
Hmm.
And
Well, I mean, they may just be used to it though. That might
yeah,
be the
yeah,
thing
that
that
there's their normal.
if they didn't do it, it would be odd.
Yeah, it
But
feels uncomfortable.
you know what? If you have a story you'd feel comfortable sharing with the entire world, or or a comment as far as like what you think as far as maybe a term you've heard, feel free to share in the comments. You can like and subscribe and share it with your friends. And this is not, I don't want to make this about it's a shaming, because it's not. I have absolutely been there in the land of having complaints. I don't know anybody who hasn't.
Yeah.
Of course, I feel better being next to her who I know has suffered. I'm kidding. I have to do something for myself. But just think on that. If you feel like that is someplace that's kind of kept you captured and put you in a place where you just feel so stuck that you can't get out of it, then let's look at how to get out of that. Now we're going to have some links in our comments. I'll have a link to this article that we talked about, and then also consider looking into some counseling. We might look and see about putting a link to some professional counseling out there, and don't be afraid to ever ask for help, because there's nothing wrong with that, not at all.
And if the person you ask is not helpful,
Yeah.
not every therapist is your therapist, is not the person that you can talk to and click with. And you know what? That is okay. You just move on to the next person until you find your person that you can click with, that is absolutely going to give you the advice you can take and you can act on and you can move forward. And it's not to say anything against that particular therapist. It's just that we are all different.
Mhm.
And one thing that works for Jessica doesn't work for me, and what
Right.
works for me does not work for Jessica. That doesn't make it either way wrong or right. It just means it's different.
Mhm.
And that's the same with therapists. They all are people, individuals, human beings. They all have different outlooks on life, and they all have different ways of doing things. And some specialize in one thing over another.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times you know what it is you need, find focusing on what their specialty.
Right is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, thank you very much, Whitley. I appreciate the insight. She has a lot of insight. So anyway, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you on our next. Right. We're not going there. But thank you so much for coming. We look forward to seeing you on our next episode. We've got so much in stock for you this season. I can't even stand it. We're going to have guests, lots of guests. But anyway, have a good day, good evening, wherever this finds you. Bye.
Bye.